Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This month we launched a new series, the National Team Packs, and today we're gonna speak about the Goalkeeper pack, the first one. You will see how to build the Goalkeeper, one of the most difficult roles to find in the market. It's so expensive, it's so specific and unique if you build in this way. So, before to start, please join the channel because each month we will see one specific pack, role by role. So, let's start and enjoy the video. And here we are with the Goalkeeper pack. I need to clarify a concept that I mentioned before. It's difficult to find a goalkeeper. Why? Because it's so expensive, so you will find in the market, but really you need to keep in mind that you can spend from 10 to 15 millions a complete goalkeeper from 30 to 35 years old, because it's really unique. Really, the goalkeeper helps to improve the ratings of all the defense in all his sides. So, now let's see the step. You need to understand that we have three specific steps. The first one, step one, when you buy the player after the academy. And here I suggest you a defender, so a player born as defender with already passing. And I suggest you to buy, if you want to build a long-term plan with the national team packs that will be more or less 4 years to complete, and after you will have 4-5 season, a competitive season, so the cycle is even longer. So if you invest all your time on this player, I recommend you today to buy unpredictable player, because it's the most relevant one today. Maybe in the future Hattrick will change it, but now, today, the unpredictable one give you special event on top that if you invest on a non-specialty player or in other specialties, is like your player will be for sure in a second step not relevant like the unpredictable one. So please, if you want to build a project with the goalkeeper pack, buy two goalkeepers with unpredictable specialty. You can, and now also we have goalkeepers that are born already from the academies with the skill in goalkeeping, so you can do what you prefer. But if you find in a market a player with 7 or even 8 defending is even better, with some passing and with set pieces, could be a good solution, convert him in a goalkeeper. So the first step is buy the player. And if you want to deeply understand the tier list, etc., I made a video in which you can see, depending on your budget, what you need to invest for buy two players that could be a good prospect for the national teams. The second step is reach the under 21 phase. So at 21 years old, you will make 4 Hattrick season that are more or less 1 year and a half to prepare the player to achieve the target at 17 goalkeeping and 15 set pieces. You will make the player ready at 21 years old average, and your players will have the chance to play for their own national team from 21 years old until 22 years old. And this is a key moment, and we'll see later. After that, after the under 21 phase, the third step is prepare the player to complete them to reach the peak at 29 years old, building him with 20 goalkeeping, 15 defending and 20 set pieces. This player will be so strong, will build a wall for your defense, and your player will be ready to play in the national team and to lead your team to fight in the top series of your country. So 29 years old is just the beginning of the competitive phase that, depending on you, could be 4 or 5 Hattrick season. Here we are with the most important chart of the video, because here you have the full overview and you need to keep in mind all these elements. So we have 12 seasons to complete your player and to reach the peak. After that, when you reach this target, you will be competitive. You will fight to achieve the top league, as I was mentioning before. And you need to have in mind all these elements. Firstly, you cannot push too much in the leagues if your player doesn't reach the peak. So younger is the player, lower are the series. Now, these are the series for an Italian league or anyway a big country. Of course, in a smaller country, you need a little bit to change the value, but you will understand the meaning of what I'm saying to you. So, younger player, lower series, and you need to build a team around your core players to be ready to fight when you reach the peak at 29 years old and 30. And there you need to be near the top leagues, that in Italy could be the third series, for a smaller country, the second series. Meanwhile, you are building your players, it's relevant the experience. So this is an example. Now you see that each league, each season, you will see increase the experience. This is a standard, is the minimum requirement that means that your player will play all the league matches and he will play the first 2 matches of the official cup and 2 matches of the secondary cup. But there are users that are doing a good strategy. In Italy, for example, they are in the low series, they play in the official cup, they are trying to reach more rounds possible, and they are giving extra experience that at the end could increase these standard values. But this is the minimum, because if you need to keep in mind that you need to put your players always in the leagues, because the experience is relevant, and if you will do this, at least you will achieve 10 experience at 28, 29 years old. This is the minimum. I spoke with Pozzo yesterday, that is the chef scout of Italy national team, and he told me that a good user can achieve without the national team also from 10 to 13 experience at 29 years old. But why I put an alert? Because this is the strategy behind the national team packs, the relevance of the under 21 phase and the national team phase. If you buy national team prospects, you have the opportunity to see your player play for its own national team, and the official competition of the national team, like Continental Cup or the World Cup, give a lot of experience that you cannot find in the normal matches of your club. This is the peak, but if your player is not, sometimes it's difficult that your player will play all the matches, but anyway, if your player can play all the matches of the Continental Cup in 2 months, 3 months, he can achieve 2 level up of experience. That is something that it's really difficult to achieve with the normal leagues. And with the World Cup, that is the most important competition for the national team, you have the opportunity. We have 5 rounds and also the final phase, so it's really difficult that your player will play all the rounds. But ideally, if we have an Italian player and it's so relevant and play all the matches guarantee you 8 level of experience. It's difficult to have all this level up, but also the half, it's really a lot. So keep in mind that, and this is the strategy behind the national team packs. And now, the important thing for this video is the training plan. For each pack, and now we are speaking about the goalkeeper pack, there is a specific cycle, steps to follow for the training. And also the order is important. So now, to gain the experience, we need to build target for the under 21. So firstly, with the goalkeeper pack and your 2 goalkeepers, you need to train goalkeeping until 17. That means that more or less are 3 seasons and a half. When you reach 17 goalkeeping, it's time to switch in set pieces. And you will train more or less until 21 years old and something. And we are between the 4th season and the 5th season. And in the 5th season, we raise also the stamina share that you need to do, because will help to achieve 8 stamina, and this guarantee you the opportunity to play for the under 21. If you keep the low stamina, your player cannot be called, because you need to have the chance to see your player play for its own national team, and you need to raise the stamina to be competitive for all the match, and the national team, the under 21, won't call player with a low stamina. And also the benefit to gain experience thanks to the under 21 is higher than a slow reduction of the training speed for some months, considering the whole cycle of years. So this is really relevant, because sometimes I have problem with some owners, users that are telling me I cannot increase the stamina share for some months because I'm reducing the training speed. But guys, we are speaking about some months in 4, 5, 6, 7 years of training. So If you have the opportunity to improve the experience of 2, 3, 4 levels, do it. We are speaking about few months, so this is important. Now, after under 21 phase, 22 years old, it's time to switch and to go to defending. Why? Because you need to finish to finish the defending cycle that will guarantee you to train your goalkeeper until 15 in defending. So you play with counter-attack lineup and you play with 5 defenders. But still is okay because you will be in lower series, and if you build your team in a good way, also playing always counter-attack in that leagues still can guarantee you good performance to level up in the series. Of course, if you play always counter-attack in the top series, the competitive team, the senior user will know it and it will be difficult for you win. But in the low series, still possible, so it's important to finish already the defending cycle, first because it's also a training slow. And so at 25, 26 years old, after 4 Hattrick season more or less, you finish defending. And here in the switch to coming back in goalkeeping and to finish to complete the goalkeeper skill, because right now in this moment at 25, 26 years old, your player will be 17 goalkeepers, 15 defending or 16 defending, depending if you have a monster and you are maybe in Italy or in Spain, I don't know, but average is 15 the target. Here it's a good moment to sell players because you have 10 slots that you trained. Check if you want to keep some players, but here it's a good moment to have a good income, to keep the budget for the moment in which you compete in the next season. So this is a moment that we will see later. And at the end of the cycle of goalkeeper, depending on the national team, depending how much is stronger the player, you need to raise the stamina near the 29 years old. Someone will ask you at 28, depends. But in that moment, it's the moment that you push the competitiveness. You push, and all the money you made in the past, it's time to spend to build the final team with senior players that finally can keep the performance until the end because you have the stamina share increase. And there you need to be near, you were near the top series, but from when you rise the stamina, it's time to go ahead to reach the top, because you have a monster that defend your defense, and that monster need to support the level up and need to support your scale up towards the top series. And now let's see how you can make money. This is just an example that I wanted to show to you to underline the opportunity you could have following the goalkeeper pack and all its steps with all its training phases to create cash during the cycle. At the end, take your starting budget, invest them in 2 core players of the goalkeeper pack, follow the flow of the training. At the end, you will be able to create at least 40 millions, more or less, just with this basic example. And if you follow the market properly and you have the time to do trading with the secondary slot, you can create even more profit, more income. So this is a way to adding from your starting budget to adding these 40 millions more or less, reach the 100 million value. That is the value of the top teams, the estimated value of the top teams that are playing the first leagues. And this is what you need to think. So you start a plan, a long-term plan, but during the plan you build your wall, in this case with the goalkeeper pack. Meanwhile, during the cycle, you create cash that will support you at 29 years old. When you finish the cycle, you reach the peak of the skill of your player. With that money, with that cash, you build the team around to push in the competitive phase that more or less are 4 or 5 Hattrick season, depend on you. So, now let's see the example. Firstly, first phase goalkeeping, as we were seeing before. Here the priority is select the 2 core players in a proper way, because these players, and mainly the yellow one, will be the player, the historic player that will play for 5, 6, 7 years with you. So select them properly, could be an homegrown player, and so here it's easy the choice. The yellow one will be already the main one because it will be your homegrown, or if you have not, just Diversification. Select 2 players of 2 different countries to diversify the risk in case the player won't play because maybe a bad form, maybe there is too much competition, maybe one team will play a lot of rounds of World Cup, so a lot of experience, and the other one less. Therefore, you need to wait the under 21 phase, finish it. After that, you see which one you prefer, which one have better experience, and from there you decide to focus on one of the two. But in the both in goalkeeper phase, both in set pieces phase, that is the first 2 steps to go in the under 21, the orange one that maybe will play in the friendly match to gain the training need to play also, from my point of view, also in the league matches to gain experience, because you need to give priority to both of them, and you need to give experience to both of them, reaching 5 experience at 21 years old, because you don't know which one will be your core. Therefore, they need to have the same experience, and in this phase your player will be young, and your players and your team won't be competitive. You won't compete to win the leagues there. As what I was showing in the intro video, you need to keep in mind the phases. The first phases are for the training. The competitive phase will be when your player will be 29 years old. Therefore, now focus on the experience. Now, first topic, the orange one. Why I'm telling you 10 millions? Because here, after the under 21, when your player will be 22 years old, you can decide. If you finally decide that which will be the yellow goalkeeper, the main one, maybe it's good to sell the second one, because you reach the peak, more or less, the peak of the value. That means that you reach 10 millions, that is a lot. If you continue to train him in defending, reach you 15 in defending, your player will value more. The value of the player will be 12 millions. The peak of a strong goalkeeper, if you complete him, could be 50 millions, but the salary will be huge. Therefore, in that moment, you reach 10 millions is really a lot already, and it will be unpredictable. Therefore, the market will, you will have a lot of demand for this player. So, if you know how reinvest that money, you can sell one of them. If you sell him and you don't reinvest the money and the money will go in the board reserve, keep him, because at the end make no sense to sell him in that moment. So it's a way to keep a good player that you know that training him will increase still his value. So keep in mind that. But if you know how to reinvest the money, sell him and you will make profit in the right moment. Now let's see already the defending phase, and you will understand why I underlined you these 8 players. I suggest you to, when you buy the player for the set pieces phase, keep in mind already that you can keep them and complete also in defending. Why? Because if you sell just after the set pieces cycle, you won't make so much profit. If you will sell them after the defending cycle plus set pieces, you will create really interesting defender set pieces specialists that the market will recognize, and they will have a better value. Therefore, I suggest you to create these set pieces specialists and sell them at 22 years old, because now the example is that you take 17 years old player, you train them in set pieces as first step and defending as second step. You can do also in a different way. You can buy also player holder more complete, maybe with passing, that you can leverage better in the counter attack. It's just an example to show you that you buy player younger, you can create set pieces specialists with also defending, and at 22 years old with 15 defending and 15 set pieces, more or less you can create selling all of them, all of the 8 players, you can make 20 millions. And now the last step. Why I underlined this star with the blue? Because you can already keep in mind that in that phase, maybe you buy an unpredictable one for this specific case, you train him in set pieces, you train him in defending, and you can keep him, because you sold already the orange one, you can keep him for the secondary slot, training in goalkeeping. Meanwhile, your yellow one, that is the core one, that need to reach 20 goalkeeping, you can train him, and at the end this guy will reach 16, 17, and will have a good value 12. So this is a way to leverage on the slots, and you will put in the market an interesting player that a user can just buy, completing him in goalkeeping and set pieces. So will be a huge demand on him. For sure, better than this strategy is leverage on the secondary slot doing trading. But I know a lot of users have no time to follow the market. Therefore, this is a good example to how to handle the market with few time, but still creating good players that at the end will support you to fight in the leagues. So I think we can close the video right now, because I share with you a lot of concept. You can feel the strategy behind the national team packs thanks with the first video of the goalkeeper pack, and we'll see with in the next months the other role and the other packs. But to close the video, I want to underline to you the pro and cons of the goalkeeper pack. Firstly, the pro, the main one from my point of view, is the tactical flexibility. You will be unpredictable. Why? Because you can routine, when you train goalkeeping, all the lineups that you want. So you can play the possessive lineup, you can play counter attack with 4-4-2, and if depending on your opponent, depending if you are playing at home or maybe away, you can play the lineup that you prefer. And this is so important because some pack and some role ask to you to force the training with specific lineup, and you cannot play counter attack, or the opposite, you cannot play in a possessive way. So goalkeeper pack, flexibility, tactically unpredictable, and also you will build a unique player, because if you check right now the market and you check from 30 to 32 years old, a player with 20 goalkeeping, 15 defending, 20 set pieces, check how much is the price. From 10 to 15 millions. It's huge. It's the most expensive player in the market, and your player will be unpredictable, that even is more unique. So you will build by yourself and will defend your team. So I think it's really interesting, and also for the player that maybe they don't want to handle so much player. You just need to focus in one specific player too, but at the end it will be just one, your core players, and that's it. So for someone will be a pro, for someone else maybe will be a cons, because maybe some player want to see more level ups in terms of skill. Therefore you will have just your one core player, and at the end this will be your core players, and with the money of all the training in the cycle, you will have your budget to build the team around with senior players. So depend on which style you want to apply in your project, but for sure depend on you. And also another cons could be you need really to handle in a proper way the market, because with some packs you have maybe, I don't know, 3-4 core players, and this will be the pillar of your team, and you don't need to buy other players. I don't know, in the midfield, for example, you have your 3 core players will be in the middle of your field, and that's it. Meanwhile, here you need to pay. You have your goalkeeper, but you need to fill the field with other 10 players to buy. So you need to handle in a proper way the market, and you need to know for each role which would be the best player for that role. So you need to, but you have the time, because if you follow all the cycle, you have the time to understand the game, to understand which player you need, and with the budget that this pack provide to you, you can really buy a strong team. So these are the pro and cons. This is the goalkeeper pack. Now I leave you 2 links. The first one, the tier list, that support you to choose the right players to buy and to focus on your long-term plan with the goalkeeper pack. The second link will be the intro of national team packs that support you to understand all the strategy behind this long-term plan. With that, I ask you just to follow the channel to be updated with the next novelty. Each month I will update, I will publish a new video linked to the national team pack. And with that, really thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Ciao ciao!